So we're back out on the range now. We're going to go ahead and go through just some shooting drills and stuff that you guys could do at home. The big deal with a lot of this stuff is, you know, a lot of the really fun and sort of sexy things that we see all the time, right? That's not what's producing the skill. It's the simple stuff that you're doing consistently over and over and over again. That's what's going to produce the skill. For a lot of my students, I start them out with some kind of a warm-up. So generally the warm-up will be a magazine of 9 rounds. They'll do 3 draws of a single shot and then 2 draws of 3 shots. And then they'll do a full magazine of 9 because again, our baseline condition shot group is 3 at a time. And there were a couple of different studies, one in particular by a law enforcement group, that demonstrated that the ballpark average to get bad guy to stop is 3 rounds on target. And some guys are pushing out to 5 all the time. Some guys are just shoot till they're down. Well, we don't know what that is. So if we're going to default to something, rather than defaulting to doubles, we're defaulting to triples because we know that's got a more likely chance of success than the doubles or the singles. So we're going to go ahead and run this. I've got my 4 targets downrange, and you can use, you know, if you got a range set up like I do where I'm pretty much the only guy here, I get to kind of run whatever I want to run. And then also distance and ranging wise, I'm at ballpark 21 feet. You could be in closer, you could be further away. It's totally up to you. I use this, you know, say 18 to 25 foot range a lot in videos for stuff that's at full presentation. And the reason being I do that is that's pretty typical for handgun fights. The one thing though for most handgun work is that a lot of it is actually done at retention. So coming in and doing proper retention work is actually a really, really valuable skill that you need to come in and get training for to do it right. So same thing, we're going to start out with our nice concealed holster. We're going to do 3 draws of 1, 2 draws of 3. We'll swap out magazines. We'll do it with triplets and see how we feel. I'm going to use my shot timer because it'll just give me an opportunity to say, hey, this was working really well, or hey, this didn't work out good. And we can sort of play with time as we go along. So shot timers, I think, are a really super valuable tool. You don't always have to be going balls to the walls. You can figure out, okay, this is my time frame. And then you could also start to figure out, hey, if I'm going too fast and I'm getting my rounds are really big, well, what's that pacing look like? And then I can start to play with my pacing and my shot speeds and all that kind of stuff to eventually find that nice sort of sweet spot that I'm in right now and sort of start to push out of that little bit at a time rather than trying to go way too fast. I don't know, I'm going to go slow down, way too fast, slow down. You start to play in your sweet spot rather than being, you know, not really sure whether you're doing something that's useful. So nice and slow. There's a 2-2-2 for first shot. Two, 3, 3. That was a 2 flat. Again, the groups are really, really tight. It's about this big. So again, the idea we're playing is that 3 to 6 inch group. So if I'm inside 3 inches, I'm probably going too slow. If I'm outside of 6 inches, I'm going too fast. It's a 272 for all 3 shots. A first split at a 222 and then quarters after that. So 224, so 181, and then same thing, quarters. But again, all of my shots were in a group about this big. And so again, it's in essence, it's inside that 3 inch circle. So I'm probably going a bit too slow, should go faster. But again, that's the point of the warm up. We start to build and go faster. Another thing I always do too is once I've shot a magazine, I've done a reload, is I'll pick up my other magazine from the floor and I'll put it back into my reload pouch. Just so that way I have an opportunity to reload again, even though it's an empty magazine. It's one more rep of engaging in that reload. It helps you to get more and more reps all the time. So let's see if we can pick up the pace a little bit here. So that was a 191 for 3 shots on target, 153 with 19s. I'm still inside my 6-inch circle. Had a little flinch that time. 182, so 137, 25 was my flinch, and then I had a 20. Oop, hiccup finger. So that one was a 2 flat at a 139, a 20, and a 42 for my hiccup finger. But the part that's really nice, right, again, is, so even though we're pushing hard now, you know, all of my shots are inside of a space that big. That's my 6-inch circle. And so we're getting, you know, effective rounds on target, even going those really, you know, heavier duty speeds. I might run that drill, just the triplets and stuff like that, you know, 2 or 3 magazines more. It'll just sort of depend on what it is I'm trying to work on. Today I'm thinking I might do some emergency reload stuff, so let's do that. So with an emergency reload drill, I typically will set up 2 magazines in the same way. Again, the idea is we're working on reps of the emergency reload. And so what you'll have is a magazine of 1 round and a magazine of an odd number of rounds over here, so that together they equal an even number of rounds. So I've got 5 in this one and 1 in that one. The magazine with 5 is going to go into my pouch or my pocket. My magazine of 1 is going to go into my firearm. And now what we're going to do is we'll use a shot timer again, buzzer, break the shot, and what it's going to do, because it's only got 1 round in there, it's going to slide lock immediately. As soon as that happens, we'll go right into our emergency reload, engage the target with 1 more shot going down range, and that'll give us the opportunity to go, okay, 1 shot, reload 1 shot, and then we'll do a tactical magazine change so that we can swap out and we can do it again. This way you can get lots and lots and lots of reps of doing that emergency reload while using sort of a minimal number of rounds. So that was a 493, a 163 with a 330. I fumbled a bit with my shirt to clear it to get to the second magazine. And then, like I said, I'm going to do a tactical magazine change, because now I'm going to take this one with all the extra rounds. That goes back into my pouch or my pocket. And then the firearm would go back into the holster with, again, 1 round in the firearm, so I can do it again. Let's see if I can get into that 2 or sub 2 level. .431 was a 146 with a 285. 146 with a 285. Having trouble digging that magazine out today. Time we had a 405, so it was a 145 with a 260, so that was better. So 396, it was a 140 with a 256. You know, how quickly your second magazine comes out really depends on how you're carrying second magazine. If that second magazine is coming out because you've got a really good pouch or pocket carry to do this, that ends up working out really well. If you have a really bad one, then, well, it makes it really hard to get fast reloads. The drawback, of course, being like the better that magazine holster setup for you, the more exposed most likely it's going to be. That's the reason why you see a lot of the high-end competitors, you got like a belt kit, right? I mean, it's out there, it's very easy to get a hold of. And you know, the SWAT operators, everything's out there, it's exposed, so it's very fast to get to. But it's not super great for coming around concealed like most citizen defenders are carrying around with a firearm. So we found that we like this Snag Mag, the product's called. That seems to hold the magazine in a really good spot. within the pocket, so it's very fast to be able to get it out, relatively speaking, for a pocket carry magazine. You might find something that works a little better. Either way, your goal is that you don't want people to know that you have extras until it's time. It's a 412, it's a 143 with a 269. 143 with a 269. It's a 390, it's a 146 with a 244. The other drill I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a little retention work. Again, with handguns for citizen defenders, this is a really common problem, is having to deal with the threat being in really close. And there's two ways in which we need to deal with retention. There's the threat is close and it stays there. That could be that the threat is away and it comes in. It could be that the threat starts close and then moves away. And dealing with all these different ways that the threat could start to change dynamically, we have to be able to move between my different presentation ranges and to do so as effortlessly as possible. And so one of the drills that I'll work on, especially with the advanced guys, is flowing between the different ranges. And so what I have is I've pulled one target in here, this one on the right-hand side. This is going to be the target that's going to be my close-in target. And we're going to set him up at about 8-9 feet. And then we'll have target number 2 will be the one in lane 3. And so what we're going to work on is the idea that he either starts at distance and then closes on me, or he starts close and then moves away. And so I'm going to have to transition between the targets to be able to do that and flow through the ranges. So I'd start here and come all the way out, or I'll come all the way out and come back because he's closing in on me. And being able to flow through those ranges is a really valuable skill. So I'm going to stand kind of between them here, and I'll shoot the one and then transition over and shoot the other one. And then for the next round, I'll start from the far away and I'll come back to the close one so that I get this changing of ranges with every shot. So it was a 233, it's a 141 with a 92. And my second shot on the far one, I'm going center of face. So the close one, we're doing center of mass, and the far one, we're going center of face. So it was a 210, it was a 160 with a 50. So 191, 119 with a 72. So 206, a 151 with a 55. That was a 193 with a 116 and a 77. So now what I'm going to do is just make sort of a slight adjustment. The idea being is maybe he starts in close and starts to, is running away from me, trying to shoot me as he's backing away. And so I want to get him with a couple, and then I'll transition out. So what'll end up happening is I'll end up doing 2 and then 1. So 1, 2, 1. And that'll give me sort of that same sort of sensation. If I had a partner here, I'd have them run the fast moving of my targets. My caliber system would go really quickly. And so it's starting close, boom, 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 and I have to follow it all the way up and out to be able to get good shots on target the whole way. This is where that good draw stroke and body position come in, because you should be able to shoot pretty much all the way up. So 218, so 127 with a 16 and a 75. So 206, so 127 with a 16 and a 63. Little hiccup finger there. 236 with a 130, a 32, and then a 74 on the transition. So just another great way to be able to work these different sort of varying skills at distances, working in that retention work, all the stuff that's really necessary to run this as a defender. It's 208, 116 with a 15 and a 77 on the transition. Little hiccup on the first shot. 238, 141 with a 20 and a 77. $194, a 116 with a 16 and a 62.